and welcome to Dove Eyes with Chinwe Kalu. It's another beautiful day and we're looking forward to a great show today. Today we're going to be talking about women and how we cope with life, motherhood, being wives, and our careers and businesses. And we have a great lady in the house to talk about it with us today. Her name is Yetunde Williams. She prefers to be called Yeti. And so Yeti, welcome to the program.
Hi Chinwe, thanks for having me.
It's really good to have you, right? Okay, Yetunde is a digital marketing or digital media marketing professional. She's also a social media strategist. And so she's very active on social media with her baby, Lagos Moms. And she's going to be talking to us a lot about the things she talks about on Lagos Moms, how women generally cope with life and how they get on with life. So Yetunde, welcome once again to the program.
Thanks, Chinwe.
All right, so tell us a little, this Lagos Moms, how did it all come about? What was it about? What was on your mind as you were coming up with this program or movement, I call it here?
Okay, so it started about 6 years ago, actually. Yeah. And it started when I had my second child.
Okay.
And I used to call myself a Google warrior. So I always used to search on how to do this better, best practices, where to buy this costume or whatever it was. And at the time, there was nothing in Nigeria, really, that I found that answered my questions as a mom in Lagos, in Nigeria, dealing with the peculiarities of that. So that was the whole idea of how we started, that imagine there could be a resource that mothers could use to get information on raising children, from everything from schools to domestic staff and all of that. Yeah. So that's really how we started.
And so you were able to provide all this information on Lagos Moms, right?
Yes, exactly. So Lagos Moms, for me, the ideal goal is for it to be a one-stop shop for a mom, a dad, a caregiver who's looking for information about raising children in Lagos. Lagos is crazy and
yes, I was just going to say, I was just going to ask you, what are some of those crazy things that Lagos moms have to deal with,
Work-life balance is one of the biggest things that we deal with raising children in Lagos. And that's because we're dealing with traffic. Lagos is expensive. So most people are thinking, man, I have to provide for my children. And that means doing it at all cost, which usually comes with demanding jobs. And by the time you compound traffic, most moms just feel that they don't have enough time with their children. And so that's one of the biggest things we deal with the most, and that we find as a recurrent question that we get is, how do I balance everything? And the question then is always, does balance exist? And is it possible?
Well, is it? Tell us.
I think it is. It's just that you have to know what balance looks like for you.
It's different for everybody.
It's different for everybody. And if you don't know what balance looks like for you, you don't even know if you are succeeding or not. That's why guilt is always something that most mothers deal with. You have a 9-to-5 woman who's making a lot of money, but she's guilty that, I can't be at every play that the child is. The mom, on the other hand, who's either a stay-at-home or has her own hours and has all the time to go to school morning to night and be at all the places, feeling like, hey, and I have a PhD.
Yes.
And I could be earning more, but I'm just a mother.
Yes.
So look at those two scenarios. They're extreme ends of the spectrum, but both of them are dealing with guilt because they haven't identified what works for me. Am I happy in this decision I've made as I am today? So I think balance exists. It's just, what does it look like for you? And it will always change. Okay,
so I'd like us to create a scenario and create balance for a woman who has, for instance, an MBA. She went to Yale like you. Yet is also a graduate, a master's degree graduate of Yale University. Yes, she has an MBA from Yale, and she's at home looking after her kids. How do you think balance should look for her? I mean, you must have some kind of picture that you think is somewhat ideal.
Ideal. I'm not sure there's anything as ideal. Okay. What I will say is, I will use myself as an example. So when I was a pure 9-to-5 worker, time didn't really matter much when I didn't have children. However, after I had children, I found out that I really wanted to be a very involved mother. So that was a picture for me of what I wanted motherhood to look like. So what did that mean? I had to have time to get home after work, be able to ask how the day went, spend time with homework and all of that. So when that wasn't happening, the job I had at the time wasn't willing to allow me the flexibility. So initially I had my mom helping with doing school runs. But when I left that job and I looked for the next job, at the interview, I made it very clear to the CEO at the time that I have young children and I want to be very involved. So I would like a role that allows that flexibility. So once again, it's even being bold enough to know,
even ask.
You know what, this is what I want. So therefore, it affected the kind of jobs I looked for. As a result, when the offer came, they offered me the role as a consultant. And what that meant was I was able to set my hours and I was tied to KPIs. So once I delivered, whether I was at the desk
or not,
in my house, it didn't matter. I was delivering. And then for me, having gotten that benefit, if you will, I made sure that when I was working, I was working.
Yes, that is key.
That's the other thing. You can be in an office and you will spend all the time gisting and
you're
hanging out.
Yes.
Then suddenly when it's time to scramble to close, your boss is like going where you haven't delivered that report that you now feel annoyed, you're upset. So do you see the ripple effect?
Yes. So really key to a successful, balanced life is this issue of organization, being organized and being focused about what you want to do.
I think organization is even part 2.
Yes.
Part 1 is, what do I want?
Yeah.
I want to close every day at 5. Okay, how is that going to happen? Do I need to move houses? Do I need to move jobs?
Yeah.
Does my child's school need to change? You have to be able to say, what are the things that will help me achieve that goal? So I think it's first, what do you even want? Most people, when you ask them, what does balance look like for you? It's like, I don't know. I just know I don't feel balanced.
Yes.
Okay, how would you feel?
Well, yes.
What would you feel like?
That, yeah.
Then you force them to say, well, actually, then you start to unveil, and little by little, you can come out and craft something that works for you in that moment.
So if you had to say 1, 2, 3, what you should do to get life back, well, the first thing would be know what you want.
Know what you want.
Second thing is what?
The reality.
Tell us what that is.
So you can want to close at 12 noon every day and travel every other week, right? But what's the reality?
Yes.
You need to pay bills.
Yes.
Where do you live? What is the situation?
Yes.
The reality is, okay, today, what can I actually successfully do as I am today? What can I immediately change in my life that would help me get the picture of what I want? So that's reality.
Yes.
Then if you now know, okay, you know what, actually, I can't afford to quit my job. Or you know what, this job, actually, I really love it. And it's possible to really love your job.
Yes.
And say, you know what, I just love this job. I don't want to leave. But you know what, I need to make it work. So what does working look like? That's where you then get creative. Okay. Hopefully you have the kind of boss you can have this conversation with and say, you know what I would really like is, and I've asked a lot of moms to try this and it's worked. Tell your boss that, you know what, I'd like to do half day on Friday. Okay, if the boss says, okay, what does that mean? Be ready with the answer. If I do half day on Friday, during the week, I'm going to add 2 more hours per day so that on Friday, I can pick up my bag and leave at 12. The boss might be like, well, okay, that's unusual, but let's try it and let's see what happens.
Do you have any stories to tell?
That's what I'm saying. I have somebody who actually did that.
Wow.
I told her to try it. She was like, it's not possible. I said, ask now. And my motto is ask. What's the worst that will happen?
No.
Hey, what if there was a yes waiting for you in there because
I didn't ask?
You would never have known. So she actually said she asked her boss and he was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot for like a month or 2 and see what happens.
Yes.
So within that month or 2, she made sure she delivered more than the employee.
Yes.
That was there Monday to Friday. And suddenly it was something that it became part of her life. And she was like, Yeti, I'm so thankful. I would never have thought of asking if we didn't have that conversation.
Yes.
And I thought, you know what, there's nothing wrong as a mother to say, I want to have more time. So that's one example of how you, so look at what you want, look at your reality, and then come up with options and ways to.
And then look at how all that works. Exactly. Now, there's a factor. I remember reading one of your articles in I think a story you did with one of the papers, and you said something, I love God. Now, is there a God factor to all this? Let me tell you why I'm asking that question. I remember many years ago when I was having children, I was that stage where my children were still I just had my 3rd child. I was working in the banks and I was working, on the island. Meanwhile, I lived on the mainland. And every time I thought about going to work, it was like I would blank out because I just didn't know how I was going to be able to cope. Okay. But at some point I had been asking God, that's what I'm talking about, the God factor, and asking to be moved to a branch that was closer to the house. And just before I had to go back to work, I got this letter that said, you know what, you are now here. So it made the whole thing a piece of cake. You know what I mean? Right. So God factor, is there a God factor that women can hold on to in this kind of thing that could help the situation?
I think God is the beginning and end of everything. Honestly, He's the one that gives us the ability to create well, to be bold. Everything comes from God. So you have to be able to tap into that. But I also believe that faith without action.
Yes. That makes a lot of sense. So
you're praying, but at the same time, you need to be, I'm sure when they transferred you, I don't know, maybe you were a good worker and there was time for transfer, maybe your prayer accelerated. Yes. Do you see what I mean? So it kind of works together.
It all has to work together.
It all has to work together. So you have to pray, know what you want, and then also be somebody who delivers.
Yes.
So I think we have to be very careful not to hide behind God factor, which then means I've prayed, but I don't have to do anything. Your work can be mediocre, but I've prayed now, so God should. You know what I mean? So I think that it's very important that as women, we give our best.
I guess that when we talk about God factor, we should bring the whole God picture. I was talking to my producer yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that if you look at a fly, as ugly as a fly is, we always
Is a fly ugly?
Well, you see, that is, for me, anytime you think flies, I'm just thinking death. You know what I mean? But look at a fly. It's a beautiful piece of work. You know what I mean? And that's who our God is. So if God is that creative and that perfect, really, we should be delivering better than normal, along with, so that when we now make demands and ask for favors, it is easier to get those things done.
Exactly.
So I really think that it's key that women, in particular, mommies, understand that if you're going to do business or work, it's going to require a lot more from you, and nobody's going to make an excuse that you're a mother for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So Yeti, another thing I know you're very passionate about is talking to mothers in the digital age. You're a social media strategist, so you're really familiar with the digital and you know what works there. Now, I'd really like you to talk a little about that to mommies. There's a mom listening now. She has a 5-year-old. Who keeps asking for her phone. What advice do you give to such people, to such women?
So children need to have screen time limits. You know, while I was doing a lot of this research, I found out that Steve Jobs, when he created the iPad, there was a famous interview he gave, and apparently he said his children haven't used it. They don't have one.
And he created it.
He created it. A lot of people that work in technology companies, they limit some of them have children in non-technology schools. Many of them talk about how they don't allow their children to use these devices. However, here we somehow think being a modern mom or a modern parent means that my child should have devices, should always be using it. I think everything in moderation. For a long time, even up to now, my children are 10 and 8. I don't let them say I have an iPad. They don't have an iPad. It's my iPad. Sometimes I will let you use it. And it's back to having a picture of what you want. I don't want a child who's addicted to these things. If we, as adults, when did the digital media show up? Most of us were in our, let me not age myself. But I was definitely in my 30s when it came out. And I know how I am on it if I don't watch myself. So imagine a child who doesn't know a world otherwise. I was talking to somebody who owns a university, and she was mentioning how a lot of children come into the whole A-level program, even though they come from Nigeria and English is
the first language,
second language. A lot of children cannot write essays anymore. And she said the problem is children are using devices so much, they're getting used to texting. So they write now with that texting language style.
Which is totally unacceptable.
And she was saying, she's a foreigner. She was like, why do Nigerian parents allow their children to use devices non-stop?
Wow.
Don't they realize it's bad for the children? Is there something that makes this? So she was really asking me, like, I don't understand how come there are no limits here, and that she's seen it increasingly from the number of children coming to their programs abroad, many times having to do a 1 or 2 year before university, A-levels, foundation, and that's a big problem that they are seeing.
Wow.
So for parents, you really just have to, and you have to start when they are young.
That's really why this is key, because most of our listeners or people who watch us or listen to us are people who are young parents, and the children are very young, and they need to start young to get them, this is the right time to teach them what you need to teach them. But technology, what else can we do with it as parents? Because I know that it helps. For instance, all these cameras and things. Tell us what you can do with technology beyond spoiling your children with it.
Technology is very important. So, for example, I might be saying this about limits, but there are so many benefits to using it. So, for example, coding is the language of the future. It's no more whether or not you can send email. So your child has to be comfortable with coding, with everything that's quote unquote techie, right? Then we have other things that help a parent. So, for example, you're a working mom and you have a nanny at home, and you want to be able to watch what's going on. Technology would allow you to have an application you can download that's linked to a camera in your house or wherever you are. You can watch
what's going on with
you can watch Bode, taking his first step or something like that. So there are so many benefits to it.
When he was taking his first step, a lot of mommies miss that,
And when they miss and they feel so bad, I say, why? Won't you have many others?
I don't know.
So it's back to this guilt. If you didn't get that first step, is it no more your son or your daughter? We'll do another one now. So we also have to relax and just, allow ourselves
enjoy
to
life,
breathe.
and I appreciate the fact that we live in an age that we have to live in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would be your parting shot, to the woman out there who's struggling with balance, guilt, and all that? Just say one last word to them. Time is never on our side.
The reality is that time will never be enough to probably do all the things you want to do. But you have to be able to set your priorities. And many times our moms don't have time. If you focus on the things you do all day, you realize that you spend a lot of wasted time back to this technology. How long do you spend on Facebook? Liking updates. And then you say, I don't have time for my children. So it's very important to just be very focused on everything that you want and figure out, okay, these 24 hours that God gave us, it's because he believes is enough.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you start from that principle, then the 24 hours must work and you must sleep for 8 hours.
You should sleep for 8 hours.
Simple. So So that means you have an imbalance of what, 16 hours to figure out how you do everything you must do.
Yes.
So I think it's about prioritization
Yes.
and just facing the fact that, you know what, life will probably always be a challenge. Time will never be enough.
Yes.
But the things that matter that you cannot redo. 0 to 10 is a very key time.
I was just going to say
0
that.
to
Just
10.
know that some things matter more than other things.
And I think we need to be comfortable with sacrifice.
Yes.
People don't like that word, but balance includes sacrifice.
True.
You should be
So you
very
might not be able to
comfortable
take
with
that job that gives you
It's
so.
fine, but by the time your child is 10, maybe you can go do something else.
Yes.
So you have to be flexible and look at life like that. That's what I think. And when you are connected to prayers and you pray a lot, God will start to open doors that even you couldn't have seen or thought
Yes.
about
I
before.
find myself now, all my kids out of the house. And I find that I wake up in the morning and I now have all those 16 hours you're talking about and I have to plan things to do. So if I was one of those guilty parents who used to feel bad when I was home with them, you know, or not doing as much as I thought I should do, now I would have been looking at myself and wondering, you know, Yeti, I cannot thank you enough for coming on this show. I wish we had a lot of time. We'll talk on and on and on and on and on. But I really, really appreciate your coming. Tell us, if people want to get in touch with Lagos Moms, what do they have to do? Are there numbers to call? Are there links that you want to give us? And, you know.
So one of the first ways is we have a website, lagosmoms.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @LagosMoms. And if they want to reach out to me, my phone number is 0909 000 3784. So if you have any questions, you need advice, I'm very happy to help.
Great. Thank you once again for coming, Yeti. It's really been good having you. Okay, that has been Dove Vibes with Chinwe Kalu one more time, and we have been talking with Yeti Williams, Yetunde Williams, social media strategist, digital marketing professional, who is also a Lagos mom and is very concerned about Lagos moms and has given us a few tips as to what to do, you know, to create balance, to take away that guilt that we always feel, you know, about how we raise our children and, you know, give us some hope, you know, in trying to raise these children. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. I will be here again same time next week. Bye-bye.